The peace project starts now. Are you in?
Hello everyone, I hope you are fantastic. In the meeting of today, we are going to talk about the Western Sahara conflict, and for that, we are going to analyze the situation of Rwanda. 1994 is a year not to be forgotten because it was a year when all the tensions between Tutsis and Hutus finally exploded. After the conflict, it was estimated that over 1 million of people were killed. In order to know where these distinctions start to be recognized, we should go back to 1863, when John Hanning Speke put forward a theory based on the Hamitic hypothesis, and as a consequence, the Tutsis should be identified with the aristocracy and the Hutus with their serfs. When in 1924 the Belgians gave the feudal power to the Tutsis, they confirmed it, and during the 30s they included in the ID card the ethnic group of the people with the objective that only the Tutsis would be able to access to the educational system and to work in the administration. However, when the Belgians started to work in favor of the Hutus, the situation turned to be the other way around, and it led to a radicalization of the Hutus, who expelled and massacred the Tutsis since 1963. In 1972, the Hutus contributed to the outbreak of insurrection which caused 100,000 Hutus deaths, and the double amount of Hutus went into exile in Rwanda. A year later, Rwanda had become a totalitarian state and was led by the General Juvenal Habyarimana. With him, it starts to rule the National Revolutionary Movement for Development, which is at the root of the hate that the Hutus feel, a way to make them believe that the Tutsis are a real threat. That is how the Hutus start to take in that the Tutsis are always going to be a threat, and they are incited to violence against them before being under attack. With more reasons, after the Tutsis were in exile, created the Patriotic Rwandan Front. At the end of 1990, the Patriotic Rwandan Front faced the National Revolutionary Movement for Development. This fact caused the imprisonment and deaths of both Tutsis and Hutus, as well as the increase of the ethnic resentment. Many organizations of human rights reported the deaths of 15,000 Tutsis, but no consequences at any level were imposed to the Hutus. In 1992, they were created the Interahamwe, the Zero Network, and other death squads. Later on, there was a change that was presumed to make a big difference in the situation of Rwanda. The 4th of August of 1994, the President Habyarimana and the Patriotic Rwandan Front signed the Arusha Agreement. This agreement specified many objectives to accomplish, among those to let the UN in, to let the Tutsis who were in exile come back, to combine the two armies, and to let all the political parties participate in the government. This last point would be the one to make the biggest change because it would allow the most moderate parties to be in the government. However, everything went the opposite way, and the Hutus used these conditions as an excuse for treason, and they became more radical and created the Coalition for the Defense of the Republic. At this point, it is very important to mention the theories that many experts have developed about this topic to explain the outbreak of war. One is based on the obedience and the conformity regarding the orders of the spiritual authorities and the ones from the government. Another theory points out that everything was an act of manipulation of the government in order to increase the ethnocentrism and to confirm their place in the power. The last theory is based on the greed of the Hutus, the overpopulation and the shortage of land, together with the increase of the tax of the International Monetary Fund and the decrease of the price of the coffee, would have encouraged them to kill in order to seize the lands from the Tutsis. This combination of facts was increased by the death of the President Habyarimana the 5th of April of 1994, when his plane was brought down by a missile. The day after, the 6th of April, all the roads were blocked, and since the citizens were identified in Hutus or Tutsis in their ID card, it was easy to start with the massacres. Nowadays, it is known that the most part of the top-ranking officers in the armed forces and the heads of the government were involved in it. After the conflict, the government of Kigali fought for the national reconciliation. Almost 30,000 people out of 100,000 people who had been arrested were released to avoid the ethnic politic to continue. One of the most important facts of the massacres was that they were decentralized, therefore it is even more difficult to identify the people who promoted the hate and the repression the most than if it had not been like that. Despite of that, we must not forget that there was in fact a great of power and responsibility for the situation. The most important authorities of the country, those to whom the people listened and trusted, were the ones who instilled the idea to exterminate the Tutsis. And they were able to play with them. They treated everyone like puppets to get what they wanted. And to do that, they only had to play with the weakness of people for their families. They had to feel how the fear of losing them would strike a chord among people. And all in all, to make them consider the stark dilemma, kill or be killed. That was the politic of fear. Therefore, this peacefulness that Kigali wanted could not be a tangible fact until the intellectual responsibles and those who participated the most in the massacres would be charged with a punishment that fits the crime. What makes a real impression on me is that I don't even understand exactly the differences between the Hutus and the Tutsis. And at the end, everything has its roots in the discrimination of the Tutsis over the Hutus. And if it never would have existed, this distinction, if only the Tutsis in power would have been considered as the only royalty and not all of them, there would have not been this kind of radicalization that would have led the Hutus to kill. Because part of the Tutsis would have been in the same condition as the Hutus, they would not have had access to the power, and that is legit because it cannot be represented by everyone. And in that case, it would be inefficient, and the hierarchy must exist in order to have the best social and institutional order as possible. Therefore, no one should have mentioned the Hamitic hypothesis, but it only should have been recognized the different levels of power that are required at least by the society to be able to continue without armed conflicts and to remain united to preserve peace. This video is in memoriam of all the people who were manipulated to bolster the power of one ethnic group over the other, and of all the people who died in their hands. The fear of the Hutus took them to the grave. This better not happen again. Now I would like to know your opinions about this topic. You can make a quick answer in Twitter under the hashtag #PeaceRwanda. And if you have more to say, you can post them inside of the forum of my website, which is www.thepeaceprojectstartsnow.com, inside of the category About Peace in the topic Actions and Methods. And note that this website is free of advertisements and it is completely open to everyone just for discussion. Now the meeting has concluded. And I would like to take this moment to thank this very first person who has decided to subscribe to this channel. I do not know exactly when you did it, since I have had a little break, but from now on I will be updating more often. I hope that you feel to share your opinions with me and the rest of people who may be interested in this topic. Now you are in. Prove it. See you in the next meeting. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and overall, be healthy and follow peace in your life.
The Peace Project starts now. Are you in?